What if the biggest football tournament on earth doesn't fall apart because of bad pitches, empty stadiums, or poor organization, but because of politics exploding at the worst possible moment? Right now, that question is no longer hypothetical. As fans look ahead to the 2026 World Cup, something feels deeply off. What should be a countdown to football's greatest celebration is turning into a tense global debate. A debate about visas, borders, diplomacy, and whether some of the world's biggest football nations will even show up. At the center of it all is the United States, one of the three host nations, and more specifically the political reality surrounding Donald Trump's America. The idea of a World Cup boycott used to sound extreme, something reserved for Cold War history books or dramatic editorials that never quite came true. But today it's being discussed openly, seriously, and at the highest levels of European football. This isn't fan outrage on social media. This isn't activist pressure from the sidelines. These are officials inside national football associations asking a once unthinkable question: should we stay away? The concern didn't appear overnight. Even before the latest geopolitical storms, the 2026 World Cup already had problems. Ticket prices were soaring, travel costs were brutal, stadiums were enormous, spread across massive distances, and designed more for NFL crowds than football atmospheres. Many fans were already questioning whether the trip was worth it, but then politics entered the pitch. The United States has one of the strictest visa systems in the world. Immigration enforcement is heavily militarized, border policies have grown more aggressive, and now, according to reports, fans from several qualified countries may be outright blocked from attending matches. Teams may receive exemptions. Fans will not. That single detail changes everything. Imagine qualifying for the World Cup, finally seeing your country reach football's biggest stage, and then being told you are not allowed to go watch. Not because of safety concerns, not because of logistics, but because of immigration policy. For supporters from countries like Senegal, this is not theoretical. It's real, and it sends a chilling message to football fans everywhere. This World Cup might not be for you. As European media digs deeper, the tone has shifted from curiosity to alarm. Newspapers in Denmark, Germany, and the UK are openly questioning whether their fans even want to travel to the US. In Denmark, where public opinion of Trump's America is deeply negative, many supporters are already saying they'll stay home. And that's where the real danger begins. Because even if the matches go ahead, football without fans is not the same sport. Empty seats don't just hurt the atmosphere. They hurt the spectacle, the television product, and the entire commercial engine that keeps the World Cup running. This is where things escalate. When a senior official from the German Football Association publicly said it may be time to seriously consider a boycott, the football world froze. Germany isn't a fringe voice. Germany is one of football's pillars, a nation with history, influence, and massive global audiences. And Germany knows exactly what a boycott means. They've done it before. They led protests at the Qatar World Cup. They played a key role in Olympic boycotts during the Cold War. When Germany talks about withdrawing from global sport, it's never empty talk. It's strategic, it's calculated, and it's meant to send shockwaves. This time, the shockwaves are already spreading. The reason this feels different from previous controversies is simple. This isn't about abstract morality. This isn't about distant labor practices or symbolic gestures. This is about direct political threats, threats against European allies, tariffs, territorial rhetoric, aggressive diplomacy that hits close to home. When sovereignty feels challenged, sport stops being just sport. And once that line is crossed, everything changes. What's unfolding now looks disturbingly familiar to anyone who remembers how global sporting boycotts begin. One country speaks, others stay quiet. Then they start monitoring the situation. Then suddenly, silence turns into coordinated hesitation. Denmark is already signaling concern. France is reportedly uneasy. British media is treating the boycott scenario as credible, not speculative. The language has shifted from unlikely to possible, and that's all it takes. Because if even a handful of major European nations step back, the entire World Cup structure collapses, not emotionally, financially. And that's the part that truly terrifies FIFA. FIFA's worst nightmare goes global. To understand why FIFA is panicking, you have to understand one simple truth. The World Cup is not just a tournament. It's a business empire, a massive one. Broadcast deals, sponsorship contracts, advertising packages, hospitality rights, merchandise sales. Every single part of this machine depends on one assumption. The world's biggest football nations will show up. If they don't, everything breaks. Think about what a European boycott actually means. Germany, France, England, Spain, Italy. These countries are not optional extras. They are the product. They are the reason broadcasters pay billions. They are the reason sponsors like Coca-Cola, Visa, and McDonald's sign massive deals. Advertisers don't pay premium rates for random group stage matchups. They pay for legacy clashes, historic rivalries, iconic teams. Germany versus Brazil, England versus Argentina, France versus Italy. Take those away, and the entire commercial value collapses overnight. This is why FIFA is terrified. Losing even one major European nation would be damaging. Losing several would be catastrophic. The tournament's broadcast value would crater. Sponsors would have legal grounds to renegotiate or cancel deals. Television audiences would drop. Merchandise sales would fall. Ticket demand would shrink. This isn't about empty seats. This is about financial implosion. And unlike previous controversies, this one hits sponsors directly. European broadcasters will not pay top dollar if European teams aren't involved. Why would they? Their audiences wouldn't show up, ratings would tank, advertising revenue would disappear. Suddenly FIFA's record-breaking revenue projections become fantasy. What makes this situation uniquely dangerous is that it mirrors past sporting collapses almost perfectly. The 1980 Olympic boycott didn't happen all at once. It started with one country taking a stand. Others followed. Before organizers could react, the event was hollowed out. FIFA knows this history, and they know once the dominoes fall, there's no stopping them. But here's the most brutal irony of all. This World Cup was supposed to be a showcase of American power and prestige, a global stage designed to project confidence, stability, and leadership. Instead, it's becoming a referendum on isolation. And that's not an accident. While FIFA insists football should stay separate from politics, they handed Donald Trump a symbolic peace prize, a stunning contradiction that now looks reckless. The same organization claiming neutrality openly celebrated a leader whose policies are driving allies away. That contradiction is now exploding in real time. Trump wanted the World Cup to validate America's global position. Instead, his foreign policy has turned it into a geopolitical minefield. Threats against European allies, trade wars, visa restrictions, immigration crackdowns, all of it sends the same message: you are not welcome. Football fans hear that message loud and clear, and so do governments. This is why the boycott threat feels so real. It's not driven by activists. It's driven by national interest, by political pressure, by public opinion. European leaders cannot ignore voters who don't want their teams parading into a country that treats their citizens as security risks. And once governments get involved, football administrators lose control. FIFA is learning that lesson the hard way. Canada and Mexico's quiet power play. While the United States faces growing resistance, something fascinating is happening behind the scenes. Canada and Mexico are winning without saying much at all. As tension builds, both countries are positioning themselves as the calm, stable alternative. Not through confrontation, not through loud criticism, but through quiet diplomacy. Canada's leadership, under Mark Carney, has been especially strategic. Instead of attacking the US directly, Canada is framing itself as a safe, welcoming, rule-based host, a place where international law matters, where allies are respected, where fans can travel without fear. It's a powerful contrast, and it's working. FIFA officials are already exploring contingency plans. Quietly, carefully, those plans increasingly revolve around expanding matches in Canada and Mexico if European teams refuse to play on US soil. The infrastructure is already there. Canada and Mexico were scheduled to host dozens of matches anyway. Expanding that number wouldn't require reinventing the tournament. Stadiums like Toronto's BMO Field, Vancouver's BC Place, and Mexico City's Azteca Stadium are proven venues with deep World Cup experience. Mexico has hosted twice before. Canada successfully hosted a Women's World Cup. Logistically, this works. Politically, it works even better. European teams would face fewer visa hurdles, shorter travel distances, easier time zones, more welcoming public sentiment. From a purely practical standpoint, playing in Canada or Mexico is simpler, and economically, the payoff is massive. Each World Cup match brings tens of millions in local economic activity: hotels, restaurants, transportation, tourism, merchandise. If Canada and Mexico capture even a fraction of relocated matches, they stand to gain billions. Tourism boards already see the opportunity. Marketing campaigns aimed at European fans are quietly taking shape. The message is subtle but clear: come here instead. What makes this strategy brilliant is how it reframes the boycott. This isn't about punishing the United States. It's about choosing stability. European governments don't have to say we're boycotting America. They can say we're prioritizing safe, accessible venues. The outcome is the same, but the narrative is cleaner. That's diplomatic jujitsu, and it leaves FIFA with a brutal choice: accommodate this shift or watch the tournament unravel. The payoff: a World Cup redefined. This is the moment of truth. The 2026 World Cup is no longer just a sporting event. It's a test of whether global sport can survive in a fractured political world. FIFA's long-standing claim that football transcends politics is being shattered in real time. This crisis proves what many already suspected: sport does not exist in a vacuum. It reflects power, values, and global relationships. If European teams follow through on boycott threats, The message will be unmistakable. Political behavior has consequences, even in football. For Donald Trump, this represents a stunning reversal. A tournament meant to showcase American leadership is instead highlighting America's isolation. The world's most popular sport is quietly moving around the US rather than toward it. For FIFA, it's an existential reckoning. Their credibility. Their business model. Their claim to neutrality, all under threat. And for Canada and Mexico, it's a masterclass in quiet leadership. By staying calm while others escalate, they've positioned themselves as the tournament's potential saviors. No matter what happens next, the World Cup will not look the same. Either Europe walks away and forces a reshaped tournament, or FIFA compromises and shifts power away from the US. Either outcome sends the same signal. Global football is changing. And here's the final payoff. This story isn't really about football. It's about how the world responds when politics oversteps its boundaries, about how alliances matter, about how respect, stability, and openness still carry real power. The World Cup was meant to unite the world. Instead, it's exposing the fractures beneath it. The only question left is this: will European teams actually pull the trigger? And if they do, will FIFA ever recover? Drop a comment with your take. Do you think the boycott will happen, or will FIFA blink first?